video of a comparison between Future Fight and DC Unchained. So I have a few things that I'm going to talk about today. The first off is how to play these two games on your PC. I hear a lot of people asking me this question sometimes, and my friends were telling me that their phone overheats and they can't quite seem to get the performance right, so on and so forth. So I'm going to advise them that you can play it on PC, and I'm going to explain how that works. Second part is a step-by-step comparison between Future Fight and DC Unchained. Take note that these comparisons are completely from a consumer's point of view. It's us as the community that keeps these games going, and it's up to us to compare and test them out from time to time so that the developers have a form of competition. This is, of course, a healthy form of competition because we want improvement, and without competition there's no improvement, and the game can just kind of manipulate the market however they like. So we're going to look at that, and last off I'm just going to be giving you my thoughts on how these kinds of games will impact mobile gaming and PC gaming henceforth. So yeah, to start off, as you can see at the top right of my windows, which I have in front of me, the word BlueStacks is there. You can see it on the top left corner. It says BlueStacks. So BlueStacks is basically what I use to run these games. And BlueStacks is something you can just search up online. You can download it. It is an emulator that allows you to create a mobile environment on your PC. Take note that this acts as an entire device, which means if you excuse me, which means if you sign into it, you're going to get a notification on your phone or your PC or whatever that tells you that you have signed into a new device. This is not mirroring your device, so your phone does not have to be on, and you do have to sign into your Google account or whatever account that you use to access BlueStacks. I'm using it for Android. Pretty sure it works for iOS, but you got to download a different version of it or something. So yeah, and after you get BlueStacks, you can go to certain types of APK sites. This one, I use APK Pure, APK Mirror. There are others, but I recommend these two because they seem quite safe for me. And this is the link to BlueStacks.com if you want to get BlueStacks for yourself. So yeah, that's about it. After you get BlueStacks, you also have this thing that you have to know. It's called multiple instances. So you can search how to run multiple instances of BlueStacks. It's quite simple. Once you get them going, you can actually run uh, several devices at one time. So each device allows you to play a full screen application. And since Feature Fight and DC Unchained are both considered as full screen applications, you will need to have multiple instances to run the two games at the same time. Of course, this is not so simple. It consumes a lot of your RAM. As you know, on your mobile device, I think each game will consume about almost 2 gigabytes of RAM, depending on the optimization. So when you use them on a PC and you allow the graphic settings to go even higher, it will of course consume more RAM. This also depends on the CPU and GPU that you're running. So to give you guys an example, I will show you my device manager. So as you can see, my CPU usage seems high, but not to fret. I am running a lot of applications right now. I'm running my OBS, I am running my Chrome, and all of these will also consume some of my CPU and memory. Not to worry too much. You'll be looking at about 80% on your CPU if you're running something that's at i7. If you're running i5, you may have some problems, but you can easily fix that. In BlueStacks, you have the memory allocation for your device. So you just have to lower that a bit and decrease the quality settings, and you'll be fine. You'll be good to go. It does not affect your graphics that much, but it will still perform reasonably well on larger screens. Of course, if you have a smaller screen, you can probably allow higher performance because it doesn't consume that many graphic rendering. And if you look at my GPU engine, it says I'm running it on GPU 0. That's the name of my GPU. I only have one. I'm using a GTX 1070. If you have something better, you'll be using lesser than that. My memory is at 87 because I have 8 gigabytes of RAM, so I consume about 6 to 7. So if you have 16 gigs or 12 gigs, it's easily done. Of course, I do not advise running multiple instances if your PC is not good. But that's completely up to you. I'm just telling you what you're capable of doing. If you wanna, if you have a good PC and you don't want your phone to be overheating and wasting your battery, just run it in your PC. You can run 2 instances. But best thing to do, of course, is always run one instance of one game, finish playing it, and then go to the other. This is just something I do for the comparison today. And sometimes, if I want to autoplay both games at the same time, although I do avoid it as much as possible and try to play them one at a time, otherwise it'll spoil the experience, right? Okay, so that's that. Um, so yeah, just take note. You need a good PC if you want to do this, and you need a lot of RAM. But other than that, it's totally doable. But if you're running a single device, or rather a single instance, it's very easy. It'll consume less than 60% of your CPU, even if you're using an i5. And it consumes about 2 GB plus of your RAM, which is very reasonable. You can set those in your BlueStacks. You can look up how to do that. So yeah, that's it. This is how I do it. I use BlueStacks. Easy. I use stuff like APK Mirror, APK Pure to get my APKs in. I can of course just go to the home, which has a store, and I can also look it up in the store. I can't look up DC Unchained because it's not available for certain types of BlueStack devices at the moment. You can patch your BlueStacks for that, or you can just download the APK. Both works fine. Take note, if you install your games through APKs and they're not available in the store, then you have to find the next APK whenever an update drops, which means you can't find the updates in the store. So yeah, that's about it. Okay, now onto the games. I'm gonna leave these side to side. Maybe a bit difficult to see if your monitor is small, but not too much on the, like, you don't really need to worry about the words. Just need to look at the big stuff on the screen. So yeah, first off, to start with Future Fight, you can see that we have a lot of menus on the home screen. We have Team, Challenges, Alliance, Inventory, Status Bar, Store. Then we have a whole other set of things here, Card Lab, so on and so forth. And then we have like 3 side missions, um, about 3 to 4 different currencies in the game at the moment. And as you can tell, Future Fight is well established. It's been around for more than 2 years. It's very polished. The graphics look amazing. But it didn't start out like this. Back then, things were pretty simple. We had very few options. There was no such thing as boost points. And we didn't have that many like limited event quest missions. Even dimension rifts were something quite rare. After you use them in a day, that icon will just go missing. And until one of your friends finds a rift, you barely have, anything to do there. There are no events. So on the other hand, in DC Unchained, we have a very simple menu, family, team, base, shop. Just these four. And this is the home screen. And that's it. You have about a few other things to look here, but this is like your inbox, your guide. This is like an exchange thing, which I think you do in your lab here. So yeah, it's very, very simple. And this is how Future Fight started as well. So we can't go off the bat and say that, oh, Future Fight is better because it has more things, because, it's more polished. And you can't say that DC Unchained is worse because, of course, it hasn't been around that long, and we don't really know what they're heading towards. Take note that when Future Fight came out, it brought a lot of content. There was content like almost every month, so a lot of things to look forward to. Alright, so I'm going to head towards the missions, and we're going to have a look at the mission page. So we have the story mission, which is decent. It ends at 5 chapters. Future Fight also didn't have that many chapters to start off. Later on, they added like chapters 9, 10, and then chapter 11 came, then chapter 12 came, and finally chapter 13. And this is when they brought in the ultimates, which kind of wrecked the community. They didn't like it because of its pay to play aspect, which I'll be getting to in the last bit. So yeah, we have one for hero, one for villains. So this is a bit unique. It forces you to use teams of both heroes and villains. In Feature Fight, you don't have that issue in your story mission. You only face that for things like Lion's Battle, which is like a single game mode where you go up against this monster and just do massive damage. So usually you only use one or two different types of heroes to do this thing, if at all. And you don't really care about the other heroes because this game does not really balance the heroes very well. The only other time you use the typing is when you play Shadowland, which is here, where I would say this is probably the best mode in the game because it allows you to utilize your entire roster. You learn multiple characters, you invest in multiple characters, and on top of all that, you get to use a variety of combat, speed, blast, villains, and heroes. We don't have that in DC Unchained. Here is pretty straightforward. The only thing you have that's special is Unchained, which is the best game mode in DC Unchained. And it can only be compared with, I would say, Villain Siege, which is this thing, which is trash because you can only do it 3 times: easy, normal, hard. The only mode that it really gives you decent rewards is the hard mode, which you can only do once a day. And this is the only mode where you can freely move around with your friends, but the fight ends in like 2 seconds because the bosses are not that strong. And in Unchained, on the other hand, you get to interact with your friends, run around, use whatever skills you like, control your hero. You could be chilling with your friend in a corner and you can play it as you like. And the game mode does not end in 3 seconds. You actually have to play, use your characters well, and there are so many levels that you can repeat endlessly. Of course, it has a limit to the number of rewards you can receive, but overall, you still get a high potential to get important resources such as cards, which are like biometrics for Feature Fight. They allow you to unlock your character, level up your character, and so on and so forth. Let's see. So aside from those two modes, we have the team training, which is interesting. It allows you to like train up the bonus, your team bonus. You don't have that in Future Fight. Here, your team bonus is just fixed. It's based on the type of characters you have on the team. They also have that here, but they call it something else. They call it team effect. So yeah, it works the same in terms of having the characters in the recommended team composition. Except here you can maybe mix and match more in DC Unchained, and you can level it up. So it's something like an extra game mode to play. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Just level it up a bit, make it a bit better. It may not necessarily force you to use certain characters because um, you get a lot of options. Whereas in Future Fight, if you have, let's say, maybe a strong character like Quicksilver and you want a good team for him, your strongest characters could be Phoenix and Wolverine, for example, and he doesn't fit with any of them, so he doesn't get any team bonus. So yeah, that's something to take note of. So in that sense, DC Engine just played a bit more. How can you put it? It gives you more options to customize. Okay, so after those two, we're going to talk about team composition. In terms of team composition, you have 3 heroes in a team, same for both sides. Except in DC Unchained, you use your heroes more. So what I mean by this is, in Future Fight, there are modes like World Bosses, Shadowland, Alliance Battle, majority of it, I would say like 9 out of 10. Modes where one character dictates the entire fight. Uh, and also to take note, in DC Unchained, you have not that many characters. You have, let me show you. You have about 6 families, 5 characters each. That's 30 characters. In Future Fight, you have 157. That's ridiculous. That's like 5 times in comparison. But not all those 157 characters matter as much. You have trash characters in the game. You have characters like Venom, which is absolute trash until you get something like his uniform. Whereas in DC Unchained, even if you don't spend on a uniform, you could use any character and they are good. They're good. They're not just okay. They're all good. There's no best character, no OP character in the game. Some characters may be better than others in terms of usability and playstyle, but that really depends on how you learn up the character. So that doesn't mean that because Harley Quinn is more difficult to use than Batman, she's worse. She may be bad for new players, but at the end of the day, like the final stage, she could beat a high level Batman if you know how to use her. And in DC Unchained, it's all down to your gameplay. So I'll get to that part in a while. Before that, let's get back to our teams. And let me tell you why all three matter. So in Future Fight, we have a leadership, right? Yeah, that's fine. DC Unchained, we have a leadership too. However, the other members in the team in Future Fight don't give you anything. Whereas in DC Unchained, they have this thing called a team member uh, passive ability, which affects everyone. Hold your horses. I know that there are some special characters in Future Fights, such as where's the guy? Where are you? Yeah, this guy, Phil Coulson. So Phil Coulson has a skill that gives him like 45% damage boost, guaranteed crit rate boost, and these effects will happen as long as Phil Coulson is in the team. But no one uses Phil Coulson. He's useless in combat. I haven't even equipped him for anything because I don't use him in any other special mode. I just needed to level him up so that I could use his passive ability. And it's like, hey, congrats, you have a good passive. Welcome to the team. But you're going to be a bench warmer. You're just going to be there for show. And on top of that, he's useless in PvP, which is the only mode where you can actually be a bit more competitive. In DC Unchained, on the other hand, all three characters matter. They each give a unique team passive, whether they're the leader or the member. So you gotta mix and match. And they do have certain, like what do you call it, things that work and don't work. Like Superman only works with the same type of characters, so you can't mix him with other types. But that's almost the same in Future Fights. Some characters only give you physical attack and not energy attack, so you gotta mix and match that as well. So in that sense, DC Unchained allows you to have a team of three characters who are way more useful than Future Fight. On top of that, in DC Unchained, you have this thing called healing. Let me just quickly hop into a story mission to show you guys. In Future Fight, you don't heal. You go into a fight and you just pop all your skills until the enemy dies, unless your skill gives you something that allows you to heal, like Bonds of Destiny, which gives me, I think Bonds of Destiny, right? It gives me healing somewhere. Yeah, recovery amount increased by 4% or something. So yeah, this is where your character actually gets like a heal boost. Whereas in DC Unchained, you don't have that. You just pop your heal as you like. So how that works is, you see this 50% thingy here? So this part here allows your character to actually cast the heal, which affects the entire team. This is very important. And also characters like Superman allow you to add this health kind of restoration ability and give it another charge. As you can see, you have two charges now, and they activate upon a certain number of hits or doing certain number of damage. And they can change fights. They can really change fights, especially in PvP. You get surprised with the third slot if your Superman leads manages to charge up another. But fights do go quite fast in PvP. Regardless, at high level, it could take some time. It's all about like the poke and play so far from what I've experienced, because there's a timer and there's health, and the guy who forgets to hit the potion before the timer runs out could lose the entire fight. So you could say that, oh, that's bullshit. Like, what if I get stunned before I hit my potion? Well, that's the game. That's where you gotta use your skill. Whereas in Future Fight, you don't have any of that. You don't have dodge. You can do this. Saw that? That's a dodge. You could dodge your opponent's abilities. Whereas in Future Fight, you just hit 4 skills and your iframe takes care of it. And then you have broken characters like Nova, who hit through your iframes and just kill you regardless. Whereas in DC Unchained, if you manage to dodge well enough, you could avoid stuns. You could avoid attacks. Of course, you can't hit through iframes yet. Yet, may emphasize that, because on Future Fight, it was the case. You could not hit through iframes until Cyclops came, and then Nova just changed the entire game. So yeah, but on top of that, In DC Unchained, you have three characters to play. If one guy dies, like if my Superman dies, the fight is over. Even though my Lovelies and Ares can fight, I've already lost the game. So I really have to form a team of three characters who can fight, and I can't simply switch to them. On top of having a cooldown on the switch, as I do in Future Fight, I also have to take note of this thing called EX gauge, which does not fill up until I'm attacked or attack. So if I were to have a useless character like Phil Coulson on my team, I could lose the fight in a matter of seconds because he might just come out and get one shot. So yeah, in terms of combat, DC Unchained really changes the playing field. It makes it more um, player-based skill, instead of autoplay-based skill, especially in terms of PvP. Because in Future Fight, very few people right now in the arena are actually controlling their characters in timeline. And on top of that, there's Alliance Tournament and Alliance Conquest, which is AI plays for you, so you don't get to do anything about it. And speaking of AI playing, let me show you something else. Let me leave this. Leave. Yes. Alright, so in terms of the AI playing, in DC Unchained you actually have this thing um, which is called tactics. This is your ability to customize your autoplay. You can actually dictate what skills your character use, in what order, when to use special skills. Like I don't want to use my EX just for fun, so I use it only when there's a boss. And you gotta mix and match these tactics. These are a bit hard to come by. You gotta purchase them with crystals in the shop, but that's fine because it's a doable thing. You don't need to spend your own cash just to get it up. You could actually farm these and customize your character, and you get one for free, which is the ability to tag. So these are very useful for autoplay, and this could be very important, assuming they come up with something like Lion's Conquest in Future Fight, which is completely AI controlled. I do hope that DC Unchained does not make it AI controlled, so that players can actually show their skill. I would like to see how players bring in like a mixed composition of teams that just go bonkers when they switch out their skills and their uniforms and their gears, and change their tactics. And this is where it gets really interesting, right? So let me just show you how one character's menu looks like, sorry. So here we have, of course, your details, right? I don't want to get into these. These are a bit too detailed for you guys, not too important. But I just want to cover the basic stuff, which is like gears. So let's start off with skills. Every character in every game, you gotta have some skills, right? So your skills are obviously going to be maxed out at the end of the day. Nothing special to customize here. In DC Unchained, you're going to max out your skills as well. Except, after you max out your skills, or even while you're maxing them out, you have this thing called gears. These gears customize your skills. Every skill in the game has 3 unique gears to customize to. So my Superman could be completely different from your Superman in terms of the 4 stats that I have and the gear that I have. And I could switch these out at any point in time and play. And they don't cost me anything to switch, like Power of Flight. You just equip this, done. Equip this, done. Easy, right? Of course, I have to spend to level up these 2 things, but that's still not so bad. You get to customize your skills. So this changes the way every character works, the way they fight. Whereas in Future Fight, you can't do that. The only thing that you optimize is the stats that you have. And that's in this thing, which they call ISO 8. Their gear is just stats as well. No special abilities, nothing to add to the skill. And previously they gave you more options, like you could have extra third options on each. Now they simplified it to just one stat, but that's okay, because over here you have a lot of stats to worry about. that's similar to Valorium. In Future 5 they call it ISO 8. In DC Unchained they call them Valorium. They are both basically equipable gems or stones that give you stats. So these are very common in a lot of RPG games. Um, but the advantage DC Unchained has is you can equip and unequip these Valoriums for free. Say I were to extract this. There you go. I'm done extracting it. I'm just going to pop it back in. No cost. In Future Fight, however, they will cost you about 300 crystals each time. You have 8 of them. That's ridiculous. And if you want another slot, you got to spend 100 for it, in which you have to slot 8 new ISOs. So you got to spend a lot of resources just to be able to customize your character's stats. Here, I can just mix and match them. I can just swap one of these guys in. I could swap it out. It's very simple for me to just do that. Let me just put that back in so that I don't forget it. So yeah, it's very, very easy in that sense. You could, right before a fight, you could change the way your character works. Maybe you realize the opponent uses a lot of crit, so you could max out your crit evasion and surprise him. This could change fights. And here we have this thing called custom gear in Feature 5. This is a meta-defining item actually. It gives you things like web immunity, guard break, shields, and on top of all that, they have this new type of gear called CTPs, which are premium gear, I would call them. They don't make your character, like, it's not to say premium gear is better than normal gear, but they are premium. So yeah, okay, fine, they are better, but not that much. Like, Quicksilver could just get wrecked if he faces someone with webbing like Spider-Man, because he doesn't have web immunity. CTPs don't have such a thing. However, because he's so strong, it doesn't even matter. He just destroys Spider-Man. So, at the end of the day, these gears have changed the meta. Everyone's chasing after a CTP now. Every question in every forum is what CTP do I equip to which character? Whereas in DC Unchained, at the moment, we are down to customizing your skills. Gears allow you to customize each and every one of your skills. There are a lot of ways to customize them. Also take note that in DC Unchained you can only have 3 active skills at one time. This is aside from your uniform. Uniform gives you additional 3 skills, but you can't customize them. They're fixed. They just used to surprise your opponent most of the time. And you have to swap your other skill in and out if you want to use it. In Future Fight, you straight up have 5 skills. Just hit all 5 and watch your enemy die. Just cancel them, and most of the time skill canceling is become a normal thing now in the game. In DC Unchained, you don't really cancel your skills. You cast your skills, and if they are supposed to linger, they do that by default. You don't have to cancel them. And of course, you don't have broken skills like permanent iframe, like 3 skill iframes that allow you to just be untouchable. Even the Flash, which was OP in the before the game was officially launched, kind of got nerfed because they understand how important it is to balance a character. So yeah, they're never going to balance Quicksilver. They're never going to balance Phoenix. Like if you don't have these 2 characters, you're pretty much half done in your PvP. You're going to get wrecked by them. Phoenix is an unstoppable force. So we don't have that in DC Unchained, thankfully, at the moment. I hope they continue to balance the characters and find what's right for them. So yeah, that's something I'm very glad to say about this game. It's still very new and it's still growing, and there are a lot of things that you can go about in this game, which are similar to Feature Fight as well. But I can see that they have probably taken notes and improved in certain aspects, such as your team customization, your character gear customization, Valerium customization. All these things are these are the teeny tiny bits that people appreciate when they're like, oh, thank God they don't cost crystals. But that thought would not have existed if Feature Fight never implemented it. So you're kind of more inclined to this game now because they have improved on it based off a previous game. And whether you like to admit it or not, it could be true. But of course, like I've probably conjured up in my head, they are both create companies. They could be sister companies. It is a world of business. They could just, you know, talk it out with each other and up the prices at the same time, or they could be, efficient rivals who, drop prices, balance characters, want to bring the community back and stuff like that. New content. Um, all in all, it's up to us, the community, to keep these things going. And it's very important for us to understand how these things work, which is why these comparison videos are not here to downvote any game or upvote any game per se, but it's for us to encourage competition, which in turn gives improvement. Of course, I appreciate both games. I would say Future Fight is far more polished at the moment. DC Unchained is far more balanced at the moment. And that would end my side by side comparison. For now, I don't want to go into the nitty gritty bits. There are a lot of little bits that um, I feel matters as well, such as the game mode Unchained, as opposed to game modes like Timeline Battle. Sorry, not Unchained actually. Where is it? It's a PvP something here. Yeah, competitive. So there are parts which do matter in competitive, where your character could dodge because the player controls them better, and live PvP is more fun as opposed to AI controlled opponents and also full AI control modes like Alliance Tournament. Of course, if we do get tournaments in DC and Chain, it might change the game permanently. So keep an eye of that. But as a fan of both Marvel and DC and superheroes, I would say that these two games are like they're presents for us to be living in the time when we have these two fully established mobile games come. Uh, and they are fun to play. They are manager type games, collector type games, and you get to take them as you go. On the go, you can play them, you can check them out. So yeah, all these things are there in both games, and it makes both of them something for us to cherish. The last part I want to get into is the free to play and pay to play aspect. So all of these games have a lot of art. As you can see, every character is very well designed. I would say in both games. You can say that, oh yeah, the models here look more realistic. Models in DC Unchained look more comic-y, or not so accurate. Uh, Whatever the case, art costs a lot of you know cash, because you got to pay the artists, you got to pay the designers, the graphic designers, the programmer. So technically, they need money. And in terms of free to play, both games are definitely free to play. In terms of pay to win, at the moment, Future Fight is more inclined to pay to win. DC Unchained doesn't have a real pay to win aspect to it, because if you pay, the only thing you're gonna probably win at is PvP, which is, like, you don't have to win at PvP unless you want to just have it for your, like, you want to have a trophy of it, your own personal statement of how great you are in the world. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You want to show off your skills, so you're actually paying the developers who develop such an amazing game to give you the stage to perform. So that's fine for me. Like, if you have a game that's free to play but pay to win, that's okay. But it can't be pay to play. Like, I don't shouldn't be needing to pay just to experience PvP at the level you are experiencing it. What I mean by that is Nova. Characters like this cannot be maxed unless the gods in the lab of Future Fight, the RNGesus that resides inside the lab, drops you Nova BIOS on bonus every day. Other than that, the only other way is to pay to get him, which I honestly did. In DC Unchained, however, you can obtain every character right now, and thankfully there are no pay to play characters. All of them can be obtained. But aside from pay to play, why I say Noah is pay to win is because Noah changes the meta of PvP entirely. He can hit through iframes. He one-shots Quicksilver, he one-shots Wolverine, he one-shots Phoenix. He basically one-shots every character, including himself if he gets hit by Reflect. But that's how meta-defining a pay-to-play character is in this game. So it allows you to win fights just because you have the character. Not because you purchase something out of the ordinary, but just a character. In DC Unchained, I could have a Superman, you can have a Superman. Hey, maybe yours is maxed out, but I could still stand a chance. You know, I could use even Robin to beat your Superman if I know how to play him. But in future fight, it doesn't matter. Even if I have a maxed out Angel, everyone knows that Angel will not stand a chance against the likes of Phoenix. So character balancing really matters, and that's where the pay to win elements kick in, and it kind of makes it all seem unfair. And everyone knows the Ultimates update in Future Fight, which gave us Nova, Ant-Man, and Blue Marvel, has really upset the community. And I know a lot of people are coming to us DC and Jane because they are not just fans of Marvel or DC, but they are fans of superheroes, and they like, powers, and they like to play with cool abilities. So they're finding this as their new stage to perform. And I say do it. Giving the competition to these two sides will actually improve both the games, and hopefully it encourages Netmarble to actually come back with a new event, especially with Infinity War close and a lot of new Marvel movies coming. As for DC, we only had Justice League recently. People say it wasn't that great of a movie, and I have to agree with that. Um, of course, there were. I'm more inclined to say Man of Steel and BVS was better than Justice League in every way. But yeah, we got to see the team come together in the Justice League, and hopefully in the future we do see some movies that, you know, do add in content to the game as well. Because it's kind of cool, right? It's like you watch the movie and you're excited about the new character you saw, and you want to get the uniform they were wearing. So, excuse me, it kind of allows you to customize your character in such a way that they look similar to the idol that you saw in the movie. These are things that actually make you play. So yeah, something to take note of. And on top of all that, I like to say that I'm glad that we have these games. I'm thankful, and I'm going to play both of them. I'm going to keep my DC Unchained gameplay free to play as much as possible. I will let you know when I am actually going to spend something on it. As for my future fight, I've spent quite a bit, as you can see, VIP 11, and I'm gonna just keep, gradually grinding my way with something simple, maybe just crystals or something, and hopefully the game improves. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you guys have any special things that you guys want to say about these two games, thing that I missed out that is like really important. If you have tips for me, I would gladly love to hear them. I am learning both games always, and as new content comes in, there's always new things to see, read, and learn and explore, which is the fun part, right? The learning part. Um, and on top of all that, if you have questions, yes, please ask them. I would love to answer your questions. I would also like to see your ideas on certain team compositions and characters and stuff like that. I did make a video previously about a few interesting things like gears and valoriums. I will probably make a next video about something a bit more detailed, maybe what gears on which character. So to do that, I gotta keep pushing my team and play the game more. It's not so easy for me. I am working full time during the weekdays, so this is some content that I'm doing out of my leisure as a hobby, and for you guys, just to help, people who like the game just like me. Hey, high five. So yeah, that's about it from me. Thanks for watching. Um, Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and until the next video, see y'all.